welcome to Retro Inebriation.
Hi, I'm Brent Haven.
Yes, you are. I'm Brian Moore.
Correct. Among those.
We were playing a Blizzard game.
Correct. Did Blizzard make Champions Return to Arms?
I don't know. They might have.
We'll post.
So we're on the screen. Yeah. We are playing the Death and Return of Superman. Go to options, see if there's a baby mode. There is not.
Nope.
We have sounds and that's it. So yeah, this is a very, very 90s game.
Oh yeah.
As is the whole story arc of the Death and Return of Superman.
A classic story.
It is a classic.
It's probably
while they're telling the story, so they'll have something to watch. If you'll go ahead and take your first shot. I'm not playing, I'm going to watch the story.
Okay. What am I toasting to?
Superman dying, that sounds up your alley.
To the death of Superman.
Brent is not exactly the biggest Superman fan. That's a conversation that we have probably more times than we should have.
Right.
Alright, timer's going. For those that aren't familiar with the whole death and life of Superman, they went ahead and killed Superman off back in the 90s. And
sorry.
It was all a ploy. There was a TV show that was on the air, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, and it was very, very popular. It was making DC tons and tons of money. So when they decided they wanted to marry the characters in the show, the people that wrote the comic books were told they weren't allowed to. They didn't want it happening simultaneously in the comics and on the television series.
This has been something Warner Brothers and DC have been doing for everything. The whole Superman wasn't allowed to fly in Smallville, and then,
well,
you know.
That actually takes a lot from the production team, but that's neither here nor there. Point being is that the writers were planning on marrying Superman for years, and they were all set to do it. They had been building the arc to that point, and then all of a sudden they're told, nope, you can't. And they're like, well, what are we going to do? And they said, fuck it, we'll just kill him.
I was reading an article about how Superman, like I said, Warner Brothers did this a lot, where they would say, you know, you're not allowed to do this, not allowed to do that. And they didn't want Superman to make an appearance in the Supergirl show.
Correct.
Because, you know, they're like, why would they go see a movie if they can see him, you know,
on television.
TV? It's the same thing with Gotham, you know. You can have Bruce Wayne, but he can't be Batman. Can't be Batman. Anyway.
He already is. He's already worn a full black costume at night and the whole shebang.
Yeah. I gave it.
I sucked so bad that I died before I got to the first energy belt. And then got injured acquiring it for no reason.
But then when CW took over, something about the contracts, there was some type of loophole, and CW was able to have Superman appear, and so he's in, you know, I think the second season is the Superman season.
Oh, you're talking about the Supergirl? Yeah.
Not of Gotham. Superman doesn't show up in the second season of Gotham.
That would be something to tune in for.
The poor Gotham bad guys if Superman showed up.
I don't know. Have you seen Gotham? They have some pretty super powered villains in that show.
Yeah. I watched. I think I watched maybe the first 2 seasons. Whatever season it is that Will Smith's wife gets her eye taken out.
I think that's the very end of the second, Fish is annoying. I can't freaking stand her.
That she's dead, and then she comes back without an eye, and I was like, oh god, she's back. I'm done. Like, I was willing to admit and just accept that she was part of the show, but then you convinced me she was gone,
and then brought her back,
and I was just like, I'm so done. The very first season, like, you want to see Penguin beat this bad guy the whole season. Then Fish gets to do it, and that's when I decided she was my least favorite character, like, ever. Anyways,
she was annoying.
I don't know why we're talking about Gotham.
Because we're doing a Superman episode, and you don't want to talk about Superman.
Okay, look, I do not have a problem with Superman.
You don't?
No.
You want to say that again?
I do not have a problem with Superman.
You cleared your throat first.
I think that if you were saying who is the greatest, I know we get into definitives all the time.
Yep.
But I think if you're making a list of who's the greatest superhero of all time, you got Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. That's it. There's not anyone else I'm going to accept in the conversation.
There's a short list, yeah.
And honestly, I don't think Batman deserves to be on that list, but his popularity and again, I don't have a problem with Batman. But if I'm making a list of my favorite superheroes, Superman's not in the top 10.
Superman's getting his ass beat by Rubble right now.
He is. This is a very weak version. No wonder the death of Superman's about to happen. He's
a pansy.
But I also think that the writers have pushed Superman into a weird corner because in the Silver Age, everybody was just ridiculously powerful. You know, you look at some of the stuff. Thor.
That was the whole concept of superheroes.
Yeah.
Is that they made them these gods.
Yeah, and Superman like sneezes and blows up the solar system at one point. Stuff like that. And for whatever reason,
it was a Tuesday.
Actually I know the reason. Their powers started getting downplayed in the late 80s, early 90s, and things were taking a more realistic turn. And Superman fans did not like the fact that Superman was becoming more vulnerable. They wanted him to still be this intergalactic fighting character.
Powerhouse, yeah.
Yeah. Which is part of the reason why they killed him and they brought him back and he was more powerful when he came back to try to appease the fans for why he'd been weaker or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then you ended up with this really strange gap in the DC universe where Superman is running around with Wonder Woman and Flash and Batman and he's 10,000 times more powerful than they are. And you have a lot of storytelling problems of let's just wait for Superman to come fix it.
Yep.
Where's
will show up, we'll be fine.
One of Batman's best plans is in Injustice when his plan is let's go get the other Superman. Like, I don't know if there is a better I need to beat Superman plan than let's go get another Superman. Like, and so you run into a lot of narrative issues. I like Superman when he's isolated, when he is Superman, because it opens up the writing a lot. What is it? Superman Earth 1, Earth 2, and Earth 3 or whatever. Is that what they're called?
The different dimensions?
No. Maybe it's New Earth? Earth 1 Earth? I don't know.
I don't know what we're talking about yet.
It's a Superman, it's like a what-if universe, and the Superman, there's no other superheroes there. It's just Superman.
But is this an Elseworld story? Or?
It's got like almost a manga. Yeah, it's Elseworld. Yeah, it's almost got like a manga art style as opposed to like a comic book art style. God damn it!
I'll look it up and throw it on the screen. Keep telling the story.
It's Superman Earth 1. Anyways, but he's isolated. It's just Superman, and I really like that series of comics because you don't have the problem of Batman. The Joker is terrorizing Gotham. Where the freak is Superman? Like, you don't have those narrative issues.
But let's be perfectly honest, that's a comic book issue in itself.
It is.
They joke about that in the first Ant-Man movie with the what do we do in this situation? Call the Avengers?
Yeah.
I mean, because in every series, wouldn't you get all of the best heroes together to get them to stop whatever the hell is going on?
Yes, but the power level gap between Superman and the people that Superman hangs out with
much greater.
Makes the problem worse.
As opposed to Superman fighting chainsaw wielding gangsters here.
I love old Superman cartoons, not because they're good, but because I love them. And I can fly.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm sorry, you can't necessarily do all of the Superman things in every Superman game.
No, that's very true.
But anyways, I think
unless it's the NES version.
Right. That game is crap. You have all Superman powers. I'm sure someone's gonna be like, you can't make a miniature Superman the size of your finger because Superman has. I'm sucking.
Goggy, you're worse than I am.
That was embarrassing. We.
This is why they have to have those fake stop points where you got to beat all the bad guys before you can keep moving, because otherwise you just fly
Right.
through the level. If you knew Doomsday was at a certain point in the city, why wouldn't you just fly there and go kick his ass instead of fighting these guys?
I think that Superman can be very detrimental to the universe that he's a part of because of his power level. However, I don't have any problem with isolated Superman stories. Also, Superman and Lex Luthor is one of the best examples of when you have a good idea and no one is willing to move on. Like, let Superman fight some shit. God dang it, I love Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor might be the best DC villain that there is. I personally like Gorilla Grodd. But
You are all over the place tonight. You know that?
I am scatterbrained.
We started this by explaining to the audience why the death of Superman occurred, and you got to Gorilla Grodd.
I love Gorilla Grodd. He ran for president.
So did Lex Luthor, and he won.
Yeah, that is true. Gorilla Grodd did not.
No, Lex Luthor is a fantastic villain because Lex Luthor is almost a sympathetic villain.
Right.
Lex Luthor is the one who believes that he can do the most good, and here comes this alien with these superpowers and just kind of steps in and does whatever he wants. And something like that, unchecked, could be very dangerous.
Whoa!
It's supposed to be the whole premise behind Superman is that it's not his powers that make him who he is, it's his upbringing. If he wasn't raised by people with such a strong moral compass...
What do I do?
I don't know.
Brian, I don't know what to do. I've been confused.
You're clearly confused. Can you fly up here?
Ah! Flying! Okay.
Superman was stymied by a wall. He saw a wall and he was like, guess Doomsday wins!
Well, I mean, look, based off the way I'm playing, Doomsday has nothing to worry about. The only thing that Doomsday has to worry about is maybe his legacy of killing Superman will never come true because I'm not going to get there.
Superman killed by Molotov cocktail.
Right. Oh, Doomsday! He gets his...
Oh wow, he showed up, look.
He was like, fuck that, this is my legacy, bitch!
Actually, he might have showed up because your health was so low. The game was like, fuck it, we'll just put Doomsday at this point.
I don't know if it works like that.
You died.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
So this game is now retitled The Death of Superman. There is no return.
I had the idea to play this game because apparently Henry Cavill is no longer playing Superman.
It's some sort of weird speculation stuff in the news at the moment.
I was reading
2 weeks ago. You guys might know the answer already.
I actually think the answer came right before we pressed record. I hadn't had a chance to tell Brian this. But I read another article that said it was official. So.
Oh, okay. So there you go.
And nothing ever says that it's official if there's any chance that it might change.
Oh, God. Not on the internet.
Right. Hopefully I can make these 4 lives last.
Oh, dear God. You did seriously. It took me less than 2 to get through the first stage, and you lost. You play. You have to redeem yourself after that crap.
I'm doing so bad though.
So back to the actual comic book storyline.
Yes.
When the writers found out that they couldn't actually marry Lois and Clark, they decided to go ahead and kill off Superman, which obviously the publication studio wasn't going to stand for a long period of time because it's fucking Superman.
Right.
So they're going to have to bring him back. So they came up with this whole premise. It's fairly famous, so I'm sure I'm explaining this to, like, nobody.
Right.
But regardless, they go ahead and they create the Doomsday character, so there's something that's as powerful as Superman, so they can kill each other simultaneously. But when Superman dies, the reign of the Superman occurs, which means there's 4 different characters that take on the mantle of Superman.
The thing is actually, well, okay, I'll let you finish.
I actually enjoyed the story arc. Like this was during the time that I was actually collecting comics. And I really enjoyed reading about the reign of the Superman. You didn't have people posing as Superman. Only the Cyborg claimed to be Clark Kent. The Eradicator did not. Steel didn't. Superboy was, a Cadmus Project's experiment, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Experiments!
So we knew that he was a clone from DNA from Superman. So it wasn't like there were a bunch of people coming in saying, I am the one and only Superman. It was just a filler. It was something to have the comics still run. When the death occurred and they actually didn't publish Superman books for the next 2-3 weeks.
Why am I getting my ass kicked? What am I doing wrong?
You're not beating up the bad guys?
That is true. What do I do?
And then finally we get Superman back.
Right.
It
Because
turns
he
out.
was sleeping.
Okay, the sleeping thing has been blown out of proportion. He wasn't sleeping. He was actually killed, but because he's Kryptonian and he's powered by our sun, which of course wasn't actually in the comics till Superman had existed for decades. Right. But anyway, because they said that he got the power from the sun, all they had to do was take his body out of the crypt. Exposing his body to the sunlight allowed it to recharge and allowed Superman to come back.
Because he was sleeping. He says he was in a deep sleep.
He doesn't say he was in a deep sleep. I own these comic books. That's not actually that's something that people have imposed on it. You have 2 lives and you have 3 super blasts to drop bomb this guy. You have no reason to not beat him.
Okay.
Use all 3 of them on him. I don't care. That put a dent in his health. That should help you. But regardless,
what is because he says something about being in a kryptonic sleep or
not in the actual comics. That's brought up at a later point in the series. It doesn't actually say it in the books itself. The point is his father is ill at the moment. Jonathan Kent is not dead in the comics, by the way. When they kill him off in every media that's out there, he dies in the TV shows, he dies in the movies. Jonathan Kent is alive and well. And shit, that was just your first battle with Doomsday. What? The level's not even over yet, you bastard.
That was level 1. This is level 2.
Is it really?
Yes.
No, you're a liar.
Would you go about to say that I'm ill? I am ill like Jonathan Kent. I'm not dead.
So anyway, Jonathan Kent is I can't remember the specifics there. Whether or not he's in a coma or maybe he's having a out of body experience because he's on the operating table. But he's in the hospital. Oh no, a wall!
Whatever. Well, mine had a hole. I thought I was supposed to like saw it open or something.
And then when you didn't saw it open, you should have thought of something else. So at least the bad guys can hurt each other. That's good.
That is nice.
So
I wonder if there's an alternate universe and they're playing a game like Battletoads and they're like, "Fuck! I didn't hit Superman if you just got out of the goddamn way." It's like I was trying to help, and then they're both dead.
You have to tie everything back to Battletoads, don't you?
I love Battletoads.
That would make a great Dorkly video right there. So it was the father that gave him the quote-unquote inspiration. He was the one that made him realize that, he should keep fighting even in his quote-unquote catatonic state. And that's how he ends up coming back.
Yeah, I've read all of it. I've read all of the Reign of Superman. And
there's a fantastic novel, and I normally would not recommend this because a comic book novelized is normally not the way to go. But Roger Stern.
You're getting your ass kicked. I feel better.
I'm glad misery loves company.
I feel validated.
Roger Stern wrote The Death and Return of Superman, and it's actually a great book. It puts it in perspective, and it adds a lot of elements that aren't directly in the comic book, so it really fleshes out the story too. So Superman comes back. He's very weakened. He's wearing a black Kryptonian bodysuit, so it helps him get his powers. He even wears little blasters on his side because he can't fully fly. All he can kind of do is hover.
Yeah.
And they come back. They defeat the cyborg Superman, and yay, Superman's back, and he's got a mullet.
Yep.
And I died.
You did. So this is the death and return of Superman.
And death and return. Because we still have more to
go. I don't have shot, right?
Hey, over here.
Oh, dumbass.
You looked at the wrong side, and I'm the dumbass.
You have them over here.
Once, yes.
Yeah. So, obviously, I thought this was a
Oh god, did we start all the way back?
No, because we got to level 2.
We've been at level 2. This is level 2.
Yeah.
So you weren't in a new stage because you were full of shit.
You're full of shit.
You never beat your stage.
To the return of Superman.
He killed him and now he brought him back just in the span of 2 shots.
That was funny.
Oh my goodness. So anyway, obviously this was a big to-do. Here we are, over 2 decades later?
It was a huge deal.
And this is, because it literally was probably one of the best-selling comics of all time.
When I first heard about the death of Superman, it was on the news.
Yes, this was
That
newsworthy.
was when I heard that Superman had died. It was on the news.
He's an iconic character, and they killed him off. You know what really bothers me about this game? I'm walking around trying to do things that you can do in Batman Returns, like pick up the enemies and crash their skulls into each other, and the mechanics are so bad that you can't even do that. You can pick them up and throw them. That's about it. That's all they give you.
Oh.
That was so anticlimactic. Superman jumps off of a cliff
This is the
and
most.
runs into a motorcycle.
We were talking about the cartoon earlier. There's a fight in that cartoon where he gets in a fight with a gorilla, and not a super gorilla, a gorilla.
Well, are you saying the animated series, the
Yeah.
one voiced by Tim Daly? They intentionally made the decision to underpower Superman in the cartoon for the main reason that you always criticize
No,
Superman.
I'm talking about like the old cartoon, like the
So not the one voiced by Tim Daly that you just verified for me a second
I did
ago?
not verify. You just kept talking.
That's very likely.
No, the old like I said like 60s.
Like Super Friends?
No.
I know there's a lot of versions of
Like-
Superman in media, but we can't figure this out.
I mean, I wouldn't know the voice actor's name if
I probably wouldn't either. Tim Daly's the only one that I know. That's why I said that.
that's the one from like the late 90s, right?
Yeah, the one that came out
no.
after
No. So it's
Batman
like,
animated
it's
series.
the old animated.
I didn't know he had a standalone animated show then, though.
He did it. It aired with like Popeye.
Superman and Popeye? That would make an interesting hour of
No,
television.
it was not. He was not with Popeye. It was not Superman and Popeye and friends.
That
As
should
far
have
as I
been a
know,
show.
Popeye is not one of Superman's friends.
But that should have been a show.
I would have watched it. I love Popeye.
Everyone would have watched it. That would have been the best show.
Ah, God, like I mean, it's like it's like an old ass cartoon. Anyways, I had them on VHS. I watched.
What's a
them.
VHS, Brent?
It is an advancement in magnetic tape. Anyways, I'll send you episodes of it for you to watch.
On VHS?
I don't have those. My mother purged my VHS collection.
She killed them on the one night of the year that all crimes are allowed.
You're gonna die.
I am.
You're so gonna die.
Still made it further than you
You're
did.
gonna get. Yeah. Obviously, I gave you the controller.
Because you pussied out in the middle of your level.
No, I beat the boss.
You did not! He wasn't the boss, he ran away.
That's how good I was.
So just sniveling shit.
I am.
Here's the boss, and he's gonna kick my ass because I have no health and no superpowers.
Oh, see, yeah, I beat him.
No, you didn't. If you beat him, I wouldn't be fighting him right now, and I'm dead.
Yeah.
I think the Master System might be in order at this
You know, I got a
point.
Master System?
Well, if we continue, we're going all the way back to the beginning of that stage again.
Oh, goodness gracious. All the way back to right after I handed you the controller. Anyways,
Since before that.
there's a version of the Sega Master System of a
That's
Superman
not the
game
death of Superman,
that I
obviously.
like. Right. It is a good game. We probably won't play it very long, but
No, just a
we'll
little
throw it
bit.
in and yeah. we'll
Just
have
for a
some-
taste. We'll be
we'll
right
have
back.
some fun. Alright.
And we're back.
So we have some explaining to do. Apparently,
We don't have Superman.
We don't have Superman on the Sega Master System.
But we do have Superman on the NES, so in advance, our apologies.
So this will not last long. Your torture will be short. Okay.
What you say to women before you sleep with them?
No, I'll last forever. Their torture shall be long. Not like my penis, like the amount of time. Alright, so oh
This is Clark Kent punching.
yeah, this is
Would you get in the phone booth already?
you don't tell me what to do. What's the phone booth button?
Up or down?
Okay. It was down.
You are Superman!
Da-da-da-da-da.
They're already listening to crappy music. You don't have to make crappy music for them.
And I can jump just as high as Clark Kent.
Well, that in of itself isn't a misnomer. Clark Kent
Yeah.
can jump just as high as Superman. He just doesn't.
I was just quoting you. You said that earlier.
I did.
And I'm giving me shit for
Because
it.
it's so dumb.
It is
Because we're
stupid.
filming now. I'm supposed to
It
give
is
you shit.
stupid.
Why do you keep using the X-ray vision in the middle of the city?
Because I don't know how to hurt these guys.
You have to punch them.
I'm trying. Twitch, 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 twitch. Twitch, 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 twitch.
If we had a streaming channel, this would be the perfect time to advertise.
Alright. There you go.
No, that hurts you.
Oh.
You,
Twitch, twitch,
you
twitch,
suck at this
twitch,
really
twitch.
bad game.
Twitch.
You got hurt when you touched the back of his hat.
Oh! I'm gonna get in front of you. Twitch. Ah!
Okay, hit start.
Yeah.
So, as Brent said earlier,
Yeah.
here are all the powers.
Heat vision, super spin, super breath 2. Awesome.
I don't remember Superman having super breath too.
I'm flying.
Are you?
Yep.
Alright. Where are you flying to?
This way. I'm flying
Awesome.
over here.
Is that an 8 on his cave?
Now we are in the woods. Oh! I was terrified. That man scared me. I ran away.
Because Chibi Superman was no match for big wrestling dude?
Apparently, okay.
Oh, you're back?
So, this is the Twitch button, and that's the fly button. Twitch. Got him!
Oh, I love the spinning move. If you find a crack in the pavement, you can actually... I don't want to play it.
Oh,
It's
no,
a bad
you
game.
have to, Brian.
I was saying to Brent earlier, my game collecting is based on nostalgia and wish list. Games that I wish I had owned when I
I
was a
want
kid.
to say for the record that I suggested Spider-Man vs. the Kingpin. He decided on Superman when he has.
Because it's a Superman episode, so sue me.
It makes sense. I didn't want to play it, and now somehow you suggested it, and I'm playing it.
Shut up, I'll tell the story. Of all the games that I had as a kid, oh, you lost so much health, you're Clark Kent now. Because when your health drops, your spandex do too.
Oh, this guy's mean.
Of all the games that I owned as a kid, this is one that I did not want to own. Because it doesn't fall under either category for me. There's no nostalgia associated with it. And it was not a wish list because sadly I owned it when I was a kid too. Get that! You got more health. I was gonna say you might have enough to go back in a phone booth, but you got hit again. There's no point to this room.
There's no point to this room. Then why am I in here?
This room is a philosophy of the game. There's no point.
Alright, you play while I take my shot.
Yeah, I'll do that. No! Don't hit me! Which is Twitch. I'm not twitching! There we go.
Twitch.
I died.
To the death of Superman.
That was full circle. Good for you. I think we'll call it quits at this point.
If you want us to play more of this game, don't let us know. Don't.
No, let us know. No, do it. If you comment, we will play more of it. I don't want to do that, but...
I hate you, Brian. What's gonna happen?
Nick, do not comment saying play more Superman on the NES. But yeah, we will be back on Wednesday.
Anybody but Nick, my wife, or what's her name, Ruby, would be a suggestion. You three are not allowed. Other people.
Can comment.
Can
Play
comment
more
if you want us to
Superman.
play more of this game.
What are we playing on Wednesday? Yes, the James Bond classic, Moonraker.
You dumbass.